So what if there was a way? What if we had a lie detector test for your metabolism? Would you want to know? What?
Ooh.
Hello. Good day and welcome to another exciting episode. Actually, this one is going to be kind of fun. And our special guest today is Lisa.
No, we're here together. We're a duo.
Oh, that's right. That's why we call it Living Well Together.
Big life in a small town.
Here we go. So we're going to talk today, though. Sometimes, like recent episodes have been everything but health.
Right.
Like we talked about back to school recently.
Yes.
We've talked about,
The arc.
Some of that stuff. So today, though, we're going to dive kind of back into functional health and wellness. And not just healthcare, not what we call healthcare in the U.S., which is really just sickness management,
Right,
and
disease
it's horrible, and it costs a ton of money, and it's killing lots of people. What we're going to do is focus on the functional management of your health and well-being.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
That is very fair. And part of this is triggered because I am absolutely loving this doctorate program that I'm doing. I actually have finished the functional portion of it.
So you're going to share some wisdom. You're going to be dropping some wise bombs in the next 20 minutes.
It's multifaceted. I got the core of it, but I have all of the biologies and the microbiologies, and I think I told you how much I am loving the idea of these bacteriophages. I mean, oh my gosh.
Phage. Call it a phage.
It's not a phage. They're not calling it phage. No, it's phage. I'm telling you.
Well, then they're not from France because the French call them phages.
Actually, well, they're from the country of Georgia.
It you want. How do you spell it?
Phages.
Phage. You're welcome.
I thought that's what it would be too, but listening to all of them talk about it.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to say it the wrong way.
Well, they are. Why? Who cares?
Well, it's very
macrophage.
So just a little history about those. It's back in the 1900s, they were using this type of therapy for bacterial infections, and they're viruses that go in and kill bacteria. It's brilliant. It's the idea that, there's bacteria that God created, and he created a solution for every bacteria that he had. And so these viruses can go in, and they're these little capsules that have 6 legs that come down off of them, and they attach to the bacteria, and then they shoot all their DNA into the bacteria. They replicate, the bacteria explodes and dies. Then all those little guys go around and find other bacteria to kill. So what happened was, at that same time, this was working, but what happened was this cannot be monetized because these viruses were being collected. Wait a minute.
If you use natural things to take care of natural things, there's no money in it?
Right. So then
that's weird.
Antibiotics were being developed at the same time.
Petroleum-based products.
And the U.S. said, we're going that way.
Well, yeah.
And
thank you, Rockefeller.
And then the Russians actually held on to this. Held on to this technology. And the reason why it's resurfacing is because of the amount of drug-resistant bacteria that we are faced with now.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that bacteria and viruses are smarter than what man has created? You mean the intelligence in the created is smarter than what we created?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
I know, it's so
All
weird.
right, so let's get into it.
And they haven't created a new antibiotic in a couple of decades.
Right.
And
well,
now
there are
there's only
germs
one.
now that eat penicillin for lunch.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So germs are way smarter than the same God that made us made germs.
But here's why it's so important. When you hear people say, last resort should be an antibiotic.
Right.
Because your body will get used to it. And if something really serious happens, or even if you're in the hospital having a baby or having a very minor surgery, you are susceptible if your body, your biome isn't ready.
Wait a minute. Wait, you're telling me that most of the germs, are we carrying germs around right now?
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
You're telling me that germs can be good
Mm-hmm.
and that killing germs can be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Well,
killing germs
I mean,
artificially can be bad.
killing germs artificially, because what happens is it's a survival of the fittest.
100%
So
true.
they go in and they kill the weak ones, but the
Right.
strong ones live on and become stronger.
Get meaner.
And then we don't have the defenses to go up against these really big superbugs.
And so that's where this antibiotic resistant germ stuff is coming
Exactly.
from.
Yes.
Because we've overutilized synthetics to kill germs, and the
we
germs
use
have
it
just
for-
gotten meaner.
For things like, I mean, you can go and if you're not feeling good, even if it's a viral infection, if you beg hard enough, a lot of times they'll just be like,
got to do
"Fine."
something. They got to
Yes.
do something.
Right.
So give me
And
that.
we understand that. There's other ways that you can try first and save the heavy hitters for a really serious infection.
So most of the germs inside of us, and there are billions, most of them are good. 95% of them are good guys. And they're in fact keeping you alive.
Yeah,
That's why,
coexist.
when you see a dead animal on the side of the road and it's a fresh kill, it looks like a raccoon. 2 days later, you drive by that same raccoon, it looks like a balloon.
I know.
Because the germs that used to keep it alive are now eating the dead tissue as a food source. And there's gas that's given off and it will puff up the raccoon. And then what happens? Drive by 3, 4, 5 more days and it looks like a piece of flat carpet because the germs that used to eat it for their lives have moved on.
Yeah.
And so, so we've been led to believe certain things about the germ theory. You know why they call it the germ theory of disease?
Why?
It's a theory.
It's a theory, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a germ fact.
thought
It's
it was
not
a
a
trick
germ
question.
law. No.
So-
But let's talk about then
right.
metabolic health from a functional standpoint.
Exactly. And the reason why I think that I'm enjoying these studies so much is because I do have such a love of wellness and helping people feel their best, optimizing every day the best we can, vitalize our lives. And so I love to use myself as a guinea pig though, too. And probably most people have heard about metabolic health and metabolic function.
Well, by
How would you
definition, what
classify?
is metabolism?
It's the way our body utilizes
It's
energy
the biological processes that utilize energy to keep us alive.
to keep us alive.
So
right.
the better your metabolic function and your metabolic rate, the better your life.
Right. But people, I think that it's been kind of messy because we think metabolism, and when we think about metabolism, we're thinking about weight. Don't you think?
Well, the average American probably thinks that,
Yeah.
yes. But your metabolism is how well does your heart function, how well do your guts work, how well does your
Blood
brain
sugar,
think, how well is your
pancreas,
sugar
yes.
managed.
Yes.
Those are all baseline metabolic functions. And because they're baseline, they're measurable.
They're measurable. And so that's what sets functional wellness apart from conventional medicine, is that the labs that they look at and the way they look at optimizing lab ranges instead of just using, that common normal number, which is pretty broad. And that's why so many of my clients will say, well, I got my labs back and the doctor said everything looks great,
Right.
but they feel like crap. They
like
feel
heck.
horrible.
I'm gaining weight I can't explain. I don't sleep at night.
Yes.
My pooper is different, yada, yada, yada.
Everything just
And
feels
they'll
like
say,
it's
well,
falling
it looks
apart.
normal. The other thing that I think is challenging, though, in our system currently is that there's a doctor for every body part.
Right.
I go to the foot doctor, I can go to
Yes.
the heart doctor, I can go to the liver doctor, I can go to the endocrine specialist, I can go to the orthopedic guy. So they've taken the body and separated it into chunks, parts, and pieces. But really, nobody's looking at it necessarily in traditional healthcare as a whole organism.
Exactly.
So the organism depends, your pancreas depends on what your liver is doing, which depends on what your blood vascular system is doing, which is all governed by the brain and the nerve system, which is all. So until somebody starts looking at it more like a symphony instead of individual parts and pieces,
Which is what I love.
we continue to swing and miss as a nation.
Yeah. And there are people that just, I really do enjoy it. It's like a puzzle. And then all of these numbers are clues.
Yep.
And how do they all fit together?
Right.
you cannot look at your comprehensive metabolic panel, your CBC, and then hormones and have them be separated out. You really have to look at them as a whole because they're telling a big story. That's the holistic part of wellness.
The woodwinds have to be playing from the same sheet music as the brass, which has to be from the same sheet music as the percussion people, which is no different than the ones the strings better be looking at. So from an orchestral standpoint, the blood work of a person is kind of like your metabolic lie detector test.
Yes,
because it will always tell a story. And then your task as a provider of care or as an individual, it's your carcass. You might want to learn how it works. So as the individual person who's managing this carcass, I might want a little more insight into how the whole symphonies play in. And if I don't understand it or I don't know it, my job is to surround myself with people who do.
Build your team. Build your team for sure.
It's not rocket science.
And there's labs that, let me go back. So I really think that back in 2022, when I got really sick, almost died. It was a terrible time. But we had some providers, holistic providers that saw me as a whole person, and they were able to provide really fast solutions that saved my life.
And these are people with traditional medical educations and backgrounds who have stepped outside of what would be considered conventional.
Yes.
And they are looking at the body from a more functional standpoint.
Correct.
And you're right. You were so sick, we couldn't take you to the hospital. I could not have gotten you to the hospital. Your oxygen levels would have dropped so badly that you would probably have died in the car. The ambulance might have been able to get you there, but they would have required, again, life-saving
you would have been
equipment.
Separate. You couldn't have gone with me. You could have probably not been in the hospital with me.
No.
And I did not want to die by myself.
Right.
It's like, if I'm going to die, I'm dying here with my people.
Yep.
And so.
It was a hard time. It was a hard season.
It was. And thankfully for these two amazing people and Caitlin, who was the connector of everything, we got through that time. But it changed my life and it changed the way I looked at medicine. And it is, in my mind, one of the things that I like to refer to is, combining wellness with ancient wisdom. We can have these new science approach, these innovative scientific approaches, medicine, and combine them with our ancient wisdom and what we know about how the body works, and just kind of stand in that intersection of seeing how they can work together.
Here's where current science meets previous science meets common sense and wisdom from
common sense
days
has to
gone
be
by.
brought in for sure. Because we do a lot of things very naturally. Like before that happened to me in 2022, we really didn't, there was no medication. We've always watched our diet.
We've always taken supplements. We've always taken care of our nerve system.
And
We've always lived a healthier lifestyle.
And I love
Not
learning
perfect,
about.
but healthier than average.
Herbs and supplements.
And we've learned about those for decades now. So we've got a little bit of a head start over some of the people who might be listening or watching.
Yeah. But it was at that time where I'm like, this makes sense to me. There are times that we're going to need to have these tools.
Crisis intervention is different than traditional manage your well-being.
Right, exactly. And then there's been an evolution outside of that scientific arena too into the regenerative therapies, which still need to be prescribed. But they're signaling molecules that are guiding your body to function rather than true medications like I had to take in 2022 that overrode my body system.
So all prescription medication does one of two things. Is this fair? You tell me if I'm wrong. It's designed to either speed up a reaction in the body or slow down a reaction in the body. So we've been led to believe, high blood pressure is a good example.
Right.
Blood pressure is too high, you take something to smash it. Sugar's too high, you take something to smash it. So rather than finding out the metabolic pathways that are leading to a high, we're just smashing it down so that and again, sometimes it saves your life. I'm not saying it's good or bad.
Right.
But until we can dig a little deeper and say, why would a body that's super smart by design be creating a situation where these levels are not sustainably balanced?
Right. Yeah.
And that's where your blood work came in.
Right. And I did, so kind of fast forward to 2023. So like almost 2 years later, I was really struggling. Like I was still doing all the things that I was doing before I got sick. And I was gaining weight. I was not
Foggy
feeling very
brain,
vibrant.
right?
My brain was not working
Creativity
right.
was limited, if present, sometimes at all.
And nothing that worked before
We'll put some
worked
pictures
anymore.
up. We'll put some of your pre-20.
I'll do before and afters. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because you even said the other day, it's like, I'll probably only say this one time, but you were fluffy.
Comparatively.
Yeah.
I've always just thought you're beautiful.
I know. Yeah. And I
And
appreciate
I knew that
that.
you were bigger than you wanted to be.
Well,
but you were still doing we watch our diet. We do cleanses. We do parasite cleanses. We do, we do a lot of stuff. And you were still kind of swinging and missing on some things.
But this is where that metabolic dysfunction comes into play.
Right.
Because even though most of my labs looked okay, they were still off.
Mm-hmm.
And,
they were within range.
They were within range. But now looking at them, I'm like, holy cow.
Right.
And so I had been going on a journey, this was 6 months to the making before I decided to use tirzepatide, which is a GLP-1, dual acting, use super ultra low doses, short term. But I had been studying and watching and researching and talking to our partners down in Florida about what that looked like for, I think, almost 9 months. I'm like, something is not right with me. Mm-hmm. So unbeknownst to my entire family, I started using
this me nothing about this
injection once a week, and I lost 25 pounds in 10 weeks. And I felt phenomenal. And
so you were in the mindset that you needed to lose weight to get your hormones balanced.
No, I was thinking I needed to balance my hormones, which is what I was trying. I was working to do that.
And it turns out that was a little bit backwards.
It was completely backwards. Yeah. So I did labs in September of 2023, hormone labs.
When you say labs, what does that mean?
Lab work, blood work. You go and you have your blood drawn. They run all the tests.
Right.
And
lots of
tests. And then, so I knew what my baseline was. Mm-hmm. I knew what I was looking at beforehand. And this was such a huge revelation to me because when I ran them mid-January, after I was done using the tirzepatide, after I lost that 25 pounds, my labs were perfect.
Everything came back in the green zone.
Yes, all my hormones,
it was wild.
I mean, completely wild. Not just cholesterol, you expect your blood sugar to look better. You expect that your cholesterol is going to look better. But I didn't know my thyroid would look great, and my progesterone, and even my estrogen. And I was already a couple of years into menopause at that point. All those looked better. So for me, what I realized was that losing weight can really help you to release those zombie hormones that get stuck in the fat cells, release the toxicity that your body is protecting you from by storing it in the fat cells. Mm-hmm. And it allowed my body to shrink down. Those fat cells shrink down. They got smaller and smaller. We're born with one set of fat cells.
There's a finite number. They just get bigger
and smaller.
Right.
And then there's some nuances with that. If you're pregnant or you gain a ton of weight really fast, then your body will produce fat cells, but it's very unusual. Mm-hmm. And the other part of that is the bigger your fat cells get,
the more toxicity they hold.
But then they start producing estrogen. They become an estrogen organ all on their own, which further creates chaos with your hormones.
Quick question. Is that a problem for men and women, or just women?
No, that is a huge problem for men.
Estrogenic nightmare for dudes.
Because then you're talking about low T, you're talking about brain fog for yourself.
Man boobs, beer belly.
Right. And erectile dysfunction is the last thing that happ's with low T. Most men think I'm good down there, so I don't have to worry about my testosterone. But that's not it. There's injuries that start happening. Your soft tissue starts being damaged. Your brain becomes foggy. It's the same.
Yes. Very similar.
And they call it, what do they call it for? I know you call it menopause, but they call it andropause. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the man version of menopause.
Right.
Menopause sounds like it should be for men. Anyways.
Womenopause.
Right. So anyways, the telewellness people have, I've been working with them, and I love helping clients lose weight, balance their hormones, feel
And
great,
it's not just about
fit
weight
their
loss.
clothes.
I think that's super important because the GLPs are getting a huge rap.
They are getting a huge rap, but it's the metabolic restoration. That's
the
what I'm
key.
after.
It's a restoration of normal function,
Yes.
not the losing of weight. Heroin will make you lose weight. You'll lose weight.
No.
You'll get super skinny.
Exactly.
You'll lose your teeth. You'll lose your hair. There's a difference between leaning out and getting healthy and just leaning out. They're not the same thing.
They're not the same thing. And so, and there's other, like, we have access to other types of weight loss programs through telewellness and through the practice.
Sure.
Whether it's a purification program, which is really, definitely, I do have people do that instead of the GLP ones if that's a better match for them. But there's tesofensine and there's some amino products. I think it's called 5-amino 1-MQ. That's a fancy term for like something that's going to preserve muscle, lose fat.
Right.
And that's a newer product that was introduced into the dispensary, which I'm excited to try, but I just don't have the right clients for that right now.
Right.
But they're also not necessarily helping with the metabolic function. They are not protecting the brain. They are not protecting the liver, the pancreas, the kidneys, the adrenals, where
so much of that revolves around
GLP-1s
just normal glandular function.
Yeah. Well, and also the pressure that happens when you're holding extra fat, you have extra pressure on all of the organs and glands in your body.
Right.
And they do stop functioning well. But anyways, it's been a process, but now I'm really excited to be able to introduce hormone replacement therapy. And so you and I had the opportunity to go through the program, and we are just now getting labs back.
I was going to say, we just got blood work done, and that'll reveal weak links, strong links, what to modify, how long to modify it. The blood work just says, here's what is.
Exactly.
It's not good or bad. It's just news. It's not good or bad. It just says, here's the news, and you have to decide what to do about it.
Right.
Here's a weird thing, and I don't know the answer to this. How much does the blood panel cost? Like, I'm going to go I just got it done. I didn't even ask how much it costs.
Right.
I probably should have.
So there's a number of different ways we can do it. If we do it through telewellness, it's $695.
Okay.
And it covers extensive labs.
Yep.
5 pages of labs.
It's a lot of work.
It was like 5 vials.
Right.
We have more extensive ones. If you want to like give up 15 vials, you can do that too.
Right.
But this will if we're just focusing on hormones, this is a really good way to go. So not only are those labs going to be looked at by functional wellness practitioners, doctors, and nurse practitioner, they're going to take a look at it. They are going to create a protocol. They're going to have a phone call with you, go over all your labs, come up with a solution. They're going to look at these in that functional way where they're looking for optimal values.
But they're also looking at the relationship between each of these things. Yeah. It's not just lower your blood sugar. It's why is it high and how's it affecting these other 7 things?
Right.
So when you get everybody playing from the same sheet music, what you get is the restoration of metabolic health, not just the dropping of weight and not just the restoration of whatever else the target might be for you. Your entire metabolic function gets to become more efficient.
Right.
A more efficient body finds its naturally weight more effectively. It's naturally better weight more effectively.
Right, exactly. And, a lot of people think with the GLP-1s, and I don't want this to be a commercial for GLP-1s because I know that that's a very personal decision for a lot of people.
Right.
But a lot of people think once you're on it, you have to be on it forever if you're going to maintain that weight loss.
That's one of the things that's very common to hear.
It's so common to hear. And so,
is it true or false?
It is so false because I used it till January.
Yes.
I titrated off of it mid-January. And then I lost another 5 pounds, not even being on it over the next 4 months or so because my metabolic function was healed is the way I like
Sleep
to
is better, energy's better, creativity comes back, our activity level's better.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 100 reasons to say, let me explore that.
Yeah. Because even though I'm proud of my lab work, it's not about that. It's feeling like I can function again, like that I want to go out and do things, that I am.
All your inflammatory markers are down.
Right now, they are negligible. Like you can't even, they're less than 1.
Right.
Less than 1. which inflammation, I mean, everybody at this point has heard about inflammation and the
Sure.
dangers of inflammation because of your heart and your lungs and all of the things that inflammation is going to create a problem for. But, one of the reasons why I have never been interested in hormone replacement therapy is because I had heard all of the negative reports that were spouted out when the Women's Health Initiative put out their headlines in 2002. And some of the things that they reported was that women taking estrogen and progestin, which is Prempro made from conjugated equine estrogens and another type of an acetate, man-made, not bioidentical, but these women had an increased risk of breast cancer, heart disease, stroke, and blood clots. So,
And that's been well publicized.
even since 2002.
Right. And those products have been around long enough now that you can bear that out without a study.
Right, exactly. And it was a long study that the World Health Initiative did. They started it in the 1990s.
Okay.
So it seemed like it was a credible report. And no doctor would prescribe these hormone replacements anymore. It's like, no, I'm not going to get in trouble. And women stopped taking them.
Because it sabotages your metabolic health.
Right.
Shoots your immune system.
With those products, this is the difference. This is the nuanced part of it, right? Because there are bioidentical hormones that don't cause these types of things. So even though they wanted us to believe that, and now we're finding out that it really is beneficial, and that if you're on hormone replacements, you have less risk of all the things that they talked about, including dementia.
So doing it right is the difference. Doing it's a good idea, but doing it right is the optimal situation.
Yeah. So the problems with the study were the age of the participants. The average age in the trial was 63. They were already past the menopausal window.
Right.
Many of them had gone 10 years without any hormones. And then also the types of the hormones used, because they were synthetic, non-bioidentical hormones. And there was the interpretation of risk, which breast cancer increased 8 additional cases per 10,000 women per year. And that's terrible. And those 8 people, that's horrible. But it was reported as a 26% increase.
So you can make stats say just about anything you want.
Yes. So it was absolute versus relative risk that was created fear without context.
Yes.
Right? The benefits were overlooked. They didn't talk about that. The benefits of even the Premarin, these bad hormones, were reduced risk of colon cancer and bone fractures. So there was still some benefit to bones with even this inferior type of hormone replacement. And then, so one of the things with bioidentical estrogen, progesterone, pregnenolone, all the ones that are available, testosterone, they're safer. They're better tolerated by everybody.
What's the source of them? What are they made from? Like we know Premarin was pregnant mare's urine. So that's a horse source. So where do these newfangled things
progesterone,
come from?
like a bioidentical, and this would be in the herbal world, and I'm not versed on where they come from.
Okay.
Right now, I'm just kind of versed in what the labs say and how to,
So more will be revealed later.
More will definitely be revealed later. But like progesterone is a lot of times created with wild yam.
Okay, so foods from the earth can be used from a medicinal perspective.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But hormone replacement therapy does improve the quality of life. It's going to give you more energy, better sleep, better sexual health, better skin. I'm excited because I'm thinking that my skin might tighten up if I get started on that. Bone and brain health. So all the things that they were saying were going to happen if you used it are actually, or all the negative parts of that, like the opposite was going to happen. And now we find out that it was skewed studies. So, talking to the right people that can find, because every person is so biochemically different.
So true.
So the testosterone that I might use is not going to be the same amount and maybe not even the same kind as my friend who's the same age as me, relatively same lifestyle as me, is going to need.
Right.
So finding somebody who can decipher what is
Instead
going to
of a
work.
one size fits all,
It's
it's going to
gotta
be a
be.
tailored approach to the individual, not to everybody.
And a lot of times it can be compounded with all 5 or 6 of those hormones together into one type of a capsule or injection, whichever people prefer.
Right.
But I'm excited. I haven't had my appointment with the nurse practitioner yet. My labs just came back today, so I've just been able to the finalized report. I've been admiring.
She's been
them
nerding out over this whole thing.
I've been enjoying it over the last couple of days and looking at it. But it's, it really is fun. And, knowing that even because on these lab results, because we go through LabCorp, it shows my previous results from last December from January 15th of 2024. So even just looking at how beautiful the numbers were there and being able to track it, that's another really important thing that people don't realize with blood work is we're looking for trends and patterns. That these are just a snapshot of, when I had these done on August 15th, that's the way my blood looked August 15th. There's going to be changes.
Sure.
But what you want to look for is get a baseline and then watch trends and patterns so you can catch them early.
Right.
So
And you can also figure out what's creating changes for trends and patterns.
Exactly.
If that's the case.
Whether it's tirzepatide or purification program, because we've seen cholesterol and blood sugar with the purification in just 21 days. Yep. And that's really impressive too. For my labs, they are great, but I need some hormones. And the way I like to think about that is like my foundation is really, really strong, but my sparkle hormones are missing. The sparkle markers.
I'm not sure I could take you any sparklier.
Can you imagine?
I think this is going to be a good thing.
I think so too. I really do.
Well, and I got my blood work done because I'm going to go through the very same process.
So maybe your sparkle hormones.
I could use a little sparkle.
Do you feel
there
like
you
you
go.
could use a little sparkle?
Oh, who couldn't?
Who couldn't? I feel that way.
The question is not, are we going to age? The question is, how well are we going to age?
Yeah.
And you can't stop the clock. But lifestyle choices matter. Your telomeres matter. I think we've talked about that in another episode as well.
Yeah.
So when cells are reproduced, you just want to reproduce at a rate that is as close to the existing or better than the existing rate as possible. And the aging process has to do with the degradation of metabolic function. There's no way around it, but you can support it in a way that makes the process significantly more comfortable and way more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing where to get additional help, because I think a lot of people that are in the wellness world think that we should be able to eat and exercise our way out of poor health.
Right.
And that is not always the case anymore, especially because of the amount of stress and toxicity
People are
in
more
this
toxic
world.
now than they have ever been.
And, we can be doing all the right things and still just, I am an example of that.
And there will be lots of women in your situation who will probably hear or see this episode, and you're going to ring a bell with them.
Yeah, it's why I wrote the book too.
I get it. And we should have a copy of that away. We'll put a link to that on the page as well. But the question is not, are we going to get older? The question is, are we going to do the things that support aging properly? And your metabolic function is primo. It's got to be like job number one. And it amazes me too, because people will say, well, that's economically not feasible, or I can't afford to do X, Y, Z. Until you know what it costs, you can't say you can't afford it. It may or may not be covered by your traditional health insurance. I'm going to say, let's assume it's not.
Right.
Although sometimes your lab work, and if it's coming from a medical facility, they may cover some things.
I just talked to somebody today though, and it's frustrating to me because yes, they'll run a CBC or and maybe even a metabolic panel for you. But for the labs that really matter, the labs that are going to tell the story, the complete story, for whatever reason, they will not order them.
Well, if they're not going to interpret them in a way that's functionally relatable, then why would they?
But why not just order them for the patient and let their insurance, if they're paying into that system, let them cover it.
Now you're trying to make it make sense again, and that's not necessarily what the system is.
It is frustrating because I feel like it could. There's so many ways that people could improve.
Yes.
And then collectively, what does that do?
Right.
For
No,
our cities, towns, states.
One
and
person burning
countries.
brighter is a contagious thing.
For sure.
And so
being
it really
around
is
people that
just a matter of saying, what do I got to do? And what's it worth? What is your health worth is another valuable question. There are people who can, they'll take out a second mortgage to go to Disney or buy Bengals tickets for the season, but they will not invest in their health and their aging.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by that.
Yeah.
But that's about value. That's not about price. That is not about what's it cost. That's about what am I willing to do to get where I think I want to go.
Yeah.
And that's a whole separate conversation, but it does matter. People are going to want to know that.
Yeah, because you get to decide. I am so grateful that I did this. I was curious.
Yes.
That was one of the things. I was just really curious about what it would look like. I had a feeling it would be hormones, but I wondered if there were other things playing into that.
Right.
But, my, all my liver numbers and then the inflammation being so low, and then my thyroid looks great.
Yep.
And all of these things I know are because I took the step to reduce the toxicity in those, hormonal zombies that float around and try to make trouble for you. And now it's going to be really easy for my body to take small amounts of whatever the nurse practitioner
is bioidentically necessary.
Exactly. So tiny amounts again. I mean, I am all about the ultra low dose, short term if possible.
Right.
And just bump your body back into where it's optimized.
Just a little jump
Just
start.
a little, just a little jump start, just a little bump,
So we'll have to do another episode after we get some outcomes.
After you get yours back too.
Yeah. It's not about me.
Yeah. So, in my report, it said foundation is rock solid, no inflammation, no prediabetes, no anemia, no hidden metabolic crisis. What's missing is exactly what I suspected, which is the sparkle hormones, which are the precursors that keep energy, mood, libido, muscle, and radiance strong after 60. I'm not fixing brokenness. I'm fine tuning my vibrancy.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Super
This
excited.
is a good one.
Yeah, you guys, let me know if you have any questions. I have a couple of different guides that are available. I have a hormone guide that talks about all 6 of the different sex hormones so that you can, understand them a little bit better and how they all relate to each other. Typically, we only hear about estrogen and testosterone, but in progesterone now, there's a lot more talk about that.
Yes.
But pregnenolone and DHEA and, there's others too. So that guide is awesome, and I'm happy to share that with you. And then if you want more information about the peptides too, if you feel like that's a really good starting point for you, then
Reach out.
I love sharing. And I have a complimentary consult call link, and I'll put that in there, and we can chat for 15 minutes and see if there's a path for you forward and out of metabolic dysfunction. So
You're amazing.
Yay. I love it. Makes me really happy.
It matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if there's, if you like this episode and you want to learn more or you want to share, that would be great. So you can subscribe and follow along.
Perfect.
Yay. We'll see you soon.
See you next time.
Bye.